Yo, welcome back everybody to a brand new video here on the second channel. Today we're going to be looking at some deck lists from Japan right now. We're going to be seeing what is doing good in Japan. Now, of course, Japan does have the Night Wanderer set right now, which is going to be our Shrouded Fable set, which just came out on August 2nd, and Shrouded Fable is going to be legal for the World Championships. So, I think it's pretty important to look at what decks and cards from the new set are currently doing good in Japan, as they are able to play with them right now and use them within tournaments. Now, they don't have the city leagues at the moment. They're on hold, but they do have the gym battles, which I think are like miniature tournaments, like local tournaments. So we can kind of see what new cards are impacting from the new set the most within the current format here over in Japan. I have Bulbapedia pulled up here for any scans and translations of any cards we need to look at, so you can just kind of get updated as to what each card does. But I'm excited to see what cards are doing good over in Japan right now. Like I said, the set is going to be legal for Worlds, so I think it's pretty important to see what the meta is looking like right now currently with this new set legal. There are quite a few new cards from what I've seen that are actually shaking up certain archetypes, which is pretty interesting. Now, I'll leave a link to Pokekabook, the site I'm using, down in the description below, and Bulbapedia if you want to look at any of those sites, especially Pokekabook if you want to look at any of these decks for yourself. And of course, if you're new to the second channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We're on the road to 15,000 subs. Leave a like if you want to enjoy the video. So let's take a look at some decks in Japan right now. So starting things off here, we do have some more, I guess, rogue decks to kind of get out of the way first. We got the Kappa deck here. So this is more of like a meme deck, but the Kappa deck does have some interesting stuff. We got the Kappa, which I guess I can pull up real quick for y'all here. So Kappa does have an ability. When it's in the active spot, your opponent cannot play any stadiums from their hand, which is an interesting effect, right? So the idea behind this is you actually are trying to lock in the A-Spec neutral center stadium into play, which basically prevents all damage done to Pokemon in play that don't have a rule box by attacks used by EXs and V Pokemon. So as long as this is in play, all your opponent's EXs and V cannot touch your non-rule box Pokemon. So the idea is, with Kappa in the active spot, your opponent has no way to remove this A-Spec stadium, meaning that they are unable to stop it, and Kappa will eventually just outbulk your opponent, and you can't do anything to it. That's basically the idea of this deck. We got a Palafin EX deck here. This did win a gym battle. So Palafin EX actually just got fixed on Pokemon TCG Live, which is nice. But yeah, the Palafin EX deck here actually does have a pretty cool new upgrade, and that is going to be one of the new EXs here, which we are going to pull up real quick. We got the new Pecharunt EX, which actually is a great new addition to Palafin. So it's got that ability where once during turn, you may switch this with your active Pokemon, or you may switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon, one of your bench Dark Pokemon, except for Pecharunt EX. The new active Pokemon is now poisoned. So the idea is that you can switch out your Palafin to the bench to summon the Palafin EX into play. That's basically the idea, right? Because Palafin EX does need to be put into play via the effect of the baby Palafin going to the bench and switching, and Pecharunt does allow you to do that when you can switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon, which is pretty interesting. So you can swap out the Pokemon. I think ideally you're trying to swap into the Morpeko here with a free retreat cost. You can also, I guess, go into Weavile or Sneasel, which are also options, and that is how you put the Palafin EX into play, is through the Pecharunt. So Pecharunt definitely is a nice big upgrade for Palafin, because instead of having to play like gimmicky stuff like Abra, or just like a heavy counter switch, or, you know, Dunsparce, or whatever combo you're trying to get Palafin out, you can actually just use Pecharunt EX to switch out Palafin, which is pretty nice. Next up, we have Kingdra EX here. Now, Kingdra EX, I actually am looking a little bit more into. You know, at first I was like, Kingdra's not that good. But honestly, Kingdra actually could be a decent card. So we'll look at what it does real quick. Kingdra does have some pretty strong attacks here. It's got King's Order. Put up to 3 water Pokemon from your discard onto your bench. That's kind of crazy. That does allow you to put stuff like Baxcalibur into play for free. And then you have the attack Hydro Pump, which does 50 plus 50 more damage for each water energy attached to this Pokemon. Now, the nice thing about Hydro Pump is it's not like Chien-Pao, where you just put a bunch of energy on it and then you have to discard the energy. You keep the energy on it. So basically, if your opponent's going after your Baxcalibur, well, the Kingdra will still be able to attack your opponent. And you can see this build here does, of course, run the Baxcalibur. Now, the interesting about this list actually is playing one Frigi. Now, the reason why there's only one Frigibax is because you have Kingdra's first attack, which can put the Baxcaliburs into play. There's also Palkia VSTAR in the deck, which I guess can Star Portal to the Kingdra 2. Kingdra could end up being a little bit better than Chien-Pao. I mean, it's not as efficient as Chien-Pao. It's not a basic. It doesn't have Shivery Chill. You can't find energy as easily. The deck here does play 3 Earthen Vessel to help you out. has the Irida, the Secret Box. I mean, it still has a lot of the Chien-Pao-esque cards within the deck, but it has Kingdra instead of the Chien-Pao, and that I think could be kind of good. So Kingdra Excalibur could actually be a decent deck. We have an interesting Luxray deck here in Japan. Luxray EX obviously does have that hand and control attack. And the one new card I think that the Luxray deck does gain that actually could be pretty strong within Luxray is, of course, the brand new supporter, the Zoroark scheme. This card is pretty evil. Your opponent discards cards from their hand until they have 3 cards in their hand. So what you do is you play the Zoroark, you force your opponent down to 3 cards, and then you go Luxray EX, which lets you look at their hand, and then you discard a card you find there. So Zoroark is a new upgrade to Luxray. We haven't really seen the Luxray control deck work quite yet. I did a video on it when, obviously, the set first came out. And Luxray's not a bad card. Like, it's definitely fun to play and can be very annoying to play against, especially when you combine it with stuff like Unfair Stamp and whatnot. This build, as you can see, is playing Neo Upper Energy as the spec, which is interesting. No Unfair Stamp. But again, does have the Eerie and the Zoroark. So it does have some like hand control elements within the deck already. And I guess that's the idea, is use Zoroark with Luxray. We got a Hisuian Zoroark VSTAR deck here playing Monkey Dory. Monkey Dory is an interesting addition to the deck. I guess the one new card it does play is the new Stretcher card here, which we can quickly pull up here. We got the where is it at here? Stretcher, where is it at? Where is it at? Where is it at? Dangerous Laser, Night Stretcher. There it is. Okay. Yeah, Night Stretcher. Put a Pokemon from your discard pile in your hand, or put a basic energy into your hand. So I guess it's just a great way to get your basics back. It's actually, Night Stretcher's pretty good with Delibird. Iron Bundle, which could be kind of cool. Then, of course, we have a Iron Valiant deck here. An interesting Iron Valiant deck here, playing a couple of new cards. So it is Iron Valiant playing an Ursaluna. So there is a new Bloomin' Ursaluna within the set, which actually isn't too bad. It's got that ability where when you play it from your hand on your bench, you can put up to 2 basic fighting from your hand to this Pokemon, and then you have the attack Mad Bite. That for energy, 2 fighting and a colorless does 100 damage and does 30 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. So you pile up a bunch of damage with the Iron Valiant, and then you just knock it out with Mad Bite. And of course, the Ursaluna does have the ability to self-accelerate energy to itself. It's got 150 HP, so it's a little bit more tankier for a basic Pokemon. And yeah, it's definitely an interesting card for sure. And then it has one other new card here, the Pheasantipity EX, which does have that ability. Once you're in turn, if any of your Pokemon were knocked out by damage during your opponent's last turn, you can draw 3 cards. Basically like how Oricorio GX used to work, which was a very good card. And this card is great. Whenever your opponent knocks something out, you just get to draw 3 new cards. And that can be very useful to keep chaining attacks over and over with your Blood Moon Ursaluna. And then, of course, you have the Lana's Aid, which is pretty good to help out your Blood Moon Ursaluna. Not a bad idea. I definitely like the idea of a Blood Moon Ursaluna Iron Valiant deck here. Definitely getting some value out of what Ursaluna can do. We have an Espathra deck here. Really nothing too new in this deck here, just playing the Night Stretcher in the deck. Espathra, I don't know how good it's going to be. I guess if there's going to be more new Dark Pokemon, because this new set does offer a lot of new Dark types, and then maybe the Espathra is good. I don't know. We have a interesting Ogerpon Toad Scroll deck. I did a video on this deck recently on the channel. Pretty fun deck to play on the main channel. Definitely check that out. All right, now we got into an interesting one. We got a Dark Box deck here, I guess, using all of the new Loyal 3 Pokemon. So I guess we can look at the other ones we haven't looked at. We haven't looked at Okidogi yet. Now, Okidogi, I think, is like the main attacker in this deck. As you can see, there's 3 copies of it within this list. So Okidogi is definitely the strongest of the new EXs. It does have the attack Crazy Chain that does 130 damage. And if this Pokemon is poisoned, you do 130 more damage, meaning that you could do 260 damage, which is honestly kind of insane. You can put the Biting Moki on it to do 200 damage. And if you play a way to poison it, which, the best way to poison it is obviously going to be the Brute Bonnet, you are actually going to be doing even more damage because you're poisoning your opponent's active Pokemon too. So that is definitely a very good combo. The new Okidogi X actually might be the new strongest Dark-type basic Beat Stick. Will it be better than a Beat Stick deck like Raging Bull, for example, or Miraidon? We'll have to see. But Okidogi definitely seems like it's going to be very strong just because of the amount of raw damage that it does. And then, of course, you do have the other Loyal 3 in here. You got the Monkey Dory EX here, which has the ability, if you have Perchon EX in play and this Pokemon is knocked out by damage from attack, your opponent will take 1 fewer prize card. So you put the Perchon in play, and then, of course, they knock out the Okidogi. They're just getting only 1 prize for killing it. It does have the attack Dirty Headbutt, which just does 190 damage. You can increase the damage output with the Biting Moki and stuff. So it's kind of just like a Loyal 3 tool Dark Box deck. One of the nice things with playing all these dark Pokemon is that you do get to abuse Dark Patch, which is nice. Obviously, that's a great way to power them up. But then you also have the new Janine supporter card here, which we can quickly look at. Janine Secret Technique is great because it allows you to choose up to 2 of your dark Pokemon. For each of those Pokemon, search deck for a basic dark energy and attach it to that Pokemon. So it's another way to put dark energy in play. You have Dark Patch and Janine to power up your loyal 3 EX cards, making it pretty easy to build them up. And just for insurance, the deck also plays a 1/1 Darkrai VSTAR, which you can use to reuse your Dark Patches. Interesting that this deck is playing the Secret Box as the A spec. You can even do more damage with Poison with the Perilous Jungle Stadium card, it looks like. So, pretty crazy stuff. That's not Perilous Jungle, is it? Wait, hold up. What stadium card is that, actually? It's Night. No, maybe it is Perilous Jungle. Maybe I'm just going crazy. But yeah, either way, you can see the gist of this deck. It's just about using these strong, dark Pokemon. Obviously, the Perchant and the Pheasantipity are just in there for the moral support. Well, you just kind of load up your Okidogi. You have Darkrai VSTAR, which can actually attack in the deck. It's not just there for moral support. You can actually use Darkrai VSTAR as an attacker, too, which is pretty nice. So, definitely looks like this deck could be pretty legit. I'm not going to lie. Okidogi X does have me excited. This definitely seems like it could be one of the better new decks from the new set here. We do have another build of the deck here. Not playing Darkrai, just kind of leaning more towards one prize sport Pokemon with Greninja, Tatsugiri, does have the Morpeko in the deck too. Playing Prime Catcher as the A-Spec. Still plays the 4 Janine, obviously, and the 4 Dark Patch. You still want to do the big damage. The stadium counts are interesting. You got Temple of Sinnoh and Jamming Tower in the deck over anything like Perilous Jungle. But yeah, still just using the Okidogi and the Monkey Dory and the Perchant combo as your main attackers. I wonder if you can honestly just get away with using the... well, actually, this build here doesn't play Brute Bonnet, I just realized. So you're not poisoning it as much. That's interesting. Huh. Yeah, you're not going to poison your guy as often, I guess. I just realized. So I don't know, maybe... I don't know, because then you're not poisoning your Okidogi with Brute Bonnet. That's interesting. All right, we got a Miraidon deck here. Now, Miraidon does gain... some decent cards. Obviously, you could play Pheasantipity in the deck as like a new support Pokemon to let you draw 3 cards. Interesting, this Miraidon build is not playing the new Stadium card, which I feel like Miraidon could get away with playing the new Stadium because it does allow you to do some interesting stuff. The new Stadium here, Night Academy. Once during each player's turn, that player may put 1 card from their hand on top of their deck. You can put a Lightning Energy on top of your deck for Electric Generator. So I'm surprised that this Miraidon deck isn't playing the new Stadium. But Miraidon could be okay in the new format. I mean, with the new set coming out, Miraidon can still just be a nice big beat stick lightning deck, and you get Iron Hands. We got another... Okay, this Miraidon build here does play the new Stadium. Also plays a 1 of Regilecki. I guess you're just trying to do more damage. I guess the common theme we've seen with the 2 different Miraidon builds is this Miraidon deck also plays the Pheasantipity for the extra support. I kind of like that. Just being able to draw 3 cards gives you more consistency. And then, of course, you do have that new Stadium card, which does let you put an energy on top of your deck for Electric Generator, which is kind of spicy. Another Miraidon build here. Not playing the new Stadium. It does have a new supporter in the deck, it looks like. If I can see what that is real quick. I think it's the, Casatopia here. You can only use this card when it's last card in your hand. Search your deck for up to 2 cards, put them in your hand. So that's interesting. I guess it's kind of like similar to how Peony Miraidon played, except you use this instead, though you're not discarding your hand immediately. So that's an interesting supporter to see within the Miraidon deck here. All right, now we're going to look at some Charizard decks. Now, I think Charizard is definitely the most interesting archetype in the format in this Shrouded Fable meta, and that's mainly because of how Charizard is being played. So we have a more vanilla build of Charizard here, kind of the more like just Tordas build with the Pidgeot, the Bibarel, Max Belt as the A-Spec for damage, got Mist Energy in the deck. But here's where things get crazy. Charizard is really starting to, kind of play a lot of more new cards. So we got an interesting Charizard build playing 151 Charizard in the deck and live Partisan Engine. Okay, that's interesting. But we scroll down a little bit here. This is where Charizard is getting some pretty big upgrades, and this is because of the new Dusknoir line. The new Dusknoir line genuinely might be what is going to make Charizard even more stronger in the new format. So a lot of the builds in Japan right now that are using Charizard are playing the Dusknoir. In fact, I think Dusknoir Charizard has all of a sudden become the BDIF in Japan. So we'll take a look here at what Dusknoir does and why it's so good. So we actually should look at both Dusclops and Dusknoir. So Dusclops has the ability Curse Blast. Once you're in turn, you may knock out this Pokemon. If you do, put 5 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. That's pretty good for a Stage 1 Pokemon. Getting to do 50 extra damage is really strong. You do have to give up a prize card, but that's fine because you're playing Charizard. And then you got Dusknoir here, which has the ability when you can knock it out, you can put 13 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. So if you happen to get the Dusknoir out, you can do even more damage. Now, the concept behind the Dusclops, Dusknoir within the Charizard deck is that you're knocking yourself out. So not only are you giving your opponent a free prize card, and which then makes Charizard do even more damage, but you're also doing more damage on top of it because of the ability of the Dusclops and the Dusknoir. So let's say, for example, you're trying to knock out a Pidgeot EX. What you can do is you can knock out your Dusclops, put 5 damage on the Pidgeot, and then you can just go counter catcher, knockout Pidgeot. If your opponent's already taken a prize card and you give them Dusclops, all of a sudden Charizard EX is knocking out a Pidgeot in one hit out of nowhere, which is kind of insane. Or just being able to knock out a big Pokemon in general. Like if you were able to get to the Dusknoir in time, you can go Dusknoir, knock out 13 damage, counter catcher Charizard, blow up a massive Pokemon. Kind of an insane concept, and yeah, the Dusknoir and Dusclops engine, at first I was like, is it really that good with Charizard? Because as you can see, this build isn't plain Bibarel, but it does have the new Pheasantipity in the deck as some extra draw support to help your deck out. So definitely Dusknoir seems like it's going to be really, really strong within Charizard. And I think that this Dusknoir Dusclops engine definitely will make Charizard a lot stronger because you can manipulate the damage output that Charizard gets to do, because you can force your opponent to take a prize card, which sometimes when you're playing against Charizard, you're specifically trying to play around certain damage output that Charizard can do. Like a lot of the time you're trying to stay on even prizes or odd prizes depending on the situation. But when they have Dusknoir and Dusclops, they can force you to take a prize card, which can put you on a different prize map, which can actually hurt you in the long run. So definitely seems like it's going to be a really evil concept within Charizard, and definitely something that I'm a little scared of for sure, because Charizard might be BDIF again. All right, we got another build here. This one does have the Bibarel in the deck, so that build didn't. This one does have Bibarel, so more of the old-fashioned Charizard deck here, playing the Bibarel. Does have the Pidgeot still in the deck, and of course, still managed to fit all the support Pokemon, the Pheasantipity, the Rotom, Lumineon, but still plays, of course, the 1/1/1 Dusclops, Dusknoir line in the deck. Now, this build does play Scuba Cyclone as the ace spec. I like the TM Evo, actually. The TM Evo's kind of smart. You can use TM Evolution with your Pokemon here. You can actually use it to put the Dusclops in play, and then immediately you can go into Dusknoir, which is kind of scary, actually. So definitely TM Evo could be really good in the Charizard, Dusknoir, Dusclops deck. Another Charizard build here, like I said, playing the Dusknoir. This just might be the new standard now for Charizard going forward, is that they might just be playing the Dusknoir and Dusclops. One thing I had interesting actually to note is this build plays an Eerie. Eerie could be good in the mirror match, because in the mirror match, if your opponent is exhausting candies to go into Dusknoir, you can actually Eerie them and punish them for playing candies, and then you can maybe run them out of candies a bit easier, which is kind of cool. But yeah, we got another Charizard Dusknoir deck. This one doesn't have Bibarel. I do think if you're going to play the Dusknoir engine, you still probably want to play Bibarel. You are playing a lot of Pokemon at that point, so you make your deck a little less consistent, but I still think you need the Bibarel in Charizard. It's too good not to play, especially if decks are going to be playing Devo again. Another Charizard build here playing the Dusknoir engine. This one plays Max Bell, so really trying to maximize that damage output with Maximum Bell, which is honestly kind of a scary card. Actually, with Max Bell, you can do 230 with Charizard, and if you go Dusclops, yeah, it's pretty scary, actually. You can knock out Pidgeots even easier with Max Bell, so, I mean, that's kind of scary. Like, imagine being able to one-shot a Pidgeot with Charizard thanks to some Dusclops damage manipulation. That's kind of scary, actually. Another Charizard, like I said, I mean, Charizard builds are just all playing the Dusknoir engine. It's just going to be the new standard now within the Charizard deck, it looks like. This one plays Devo, Max Belt, and Kieran, so a lot of damage multipliers. The fact that Charizard can control the damage it does now with Dusknoir and Dusclops is honestly kind of scary. Definitely is a little spooky for sure. We got a lot of Charizard builds here. Another build with Dusknoir playing Legacy Energy. We got another Charizard build. I think Unfair Stamp's pretty fair to play. Imagine going Unfair Stamp, Counter Catcher, Dusclops, knockout Pidgeot. That is disgusting in the mirror match. That Unfair Stamp might just be the best ace spec to still play within Charizard. Yeah, we got a lot. We'll just quickly scroll through all these Charizard builds here. All right, we're done. We're done with the Charizard decks. Okay, I just want to make sure because there's a lot of Charizard decks to look at. But yeah, we got more Charizard stuff. This one has Mist Energy, and this one here still playing Max Belt. But yeah, those are all the different Charizard Dusknoir decks. Like I said, Charizard with Dusknoir might make Charizard the BDIF for the World Championships. There's a good chance it's going to be BDIF for Worlds thanks to these new additions, so definitely keep your eye out on the Dusknoir engine within Charizard going forward. Now, Regidrago is another new deck that's doing pretty good right now in our current format. That actually gets a bit of an upgrade with the new set, and that is, of course, thanks to the brand new Kyurem now. The new Kyurem is a pretty insane new attacker to play within the deck. Of course, Kyurem does have that ability where it has Anti-Plasma, if a card with Colress in its name is in your opponent's discard pile, this Pokemon's Triforce attack can be used for 1 colorless energy, because if not, you're using 5 energy to do the attack Triforce, which discards all energy from your Kyurem, and it does 110 damage to 3 of your opponent's Pokemon. So the idea behind the Kyurem is it's really good against Lost Box, right? If Lost Box doesn't put Manaphy down, or even if they do, you honestly can just play Canceling Clone. You can just Triforce them. This card is honestly just kind of ridiculous, and it's going to be very good with against Lost Box. But Regidrago does technically get to use Triforce for just 3 energy, thanks to Kyurem and Regidrago's effect. So you won't get the effect of being able to do the attack with the Plasma energy, though to be fair, if you're already playing against Lost Box, you can probably just bench the Kyurem anyways and just use it regardless. But yeah, Regidrago can use Kyurem as an attacker in general. So in any matchup, you can do the effect of being able to do 110 damage to 3 Pokemon. It's a really good way to set up damage with Dragapult EX. Dragapult and Kyurem actually synergize really nicely together when you have access to both of their attacks with Regidrago VSTAR. You still have the turbo aspect with the Teal Mask Ogerpon and the energy switch. You still have some support with Gudra, Giratina, and Noivern EX2. But you do get a lot of value out of using both Kyurem and Dragapult. Like, if you're playing against a deck without Manaphy and your opponent plays into the Kyurem late game, that can be really good. You can set up damage in the late game with Dragapult. So there's definitely a lot of synergy with Kyurem and Regidrago. It definitely seems like Kyurem is going to be a great new addition to the Regidrago deck. Another build here of the deck. Not playing the Ogerpon, opting to use Gardenia to prep your Drago instead. I'm not too sure about that. But this one does have the Pheasantipity for the extra draw, and also plays the Dragonite VSTAR, which is just a nice, good beat stick. It does do 50 damage. It's a nice way just to do damage, basically. Another build here, playing the Ogerpon. Like I said, plays the new Kyurem, which, like I said, Kyurem is going to be fantastic within Regidrago going forward. This one does play the new Haxorus, which could be pretty good. We can look at what the new Haxorus does here in a sec. Does have the effect where it's got Axe Down. Your opponent's active Pokemon has any special energy on it, it's immediately knocked out. It's pretty good against Lugia VSTAR, because you just knock out their Pokemon immediately without having to like do damage. So you might still want to do damage. Like if you're against Cinccino, you still might want to go Rolling Iron or Giratina, or well, not Giratina, but Dragapult, I meant to say. But sometimes you just want to immediately knock them out. You can even use Dragon Pulse if you really had to, just to do a nice, decent bit of damage. 230 damage is okay math. You have to discard the top 3 cards of your deck. That's fine. So Haxorus, like Kyurem, could be a nice new upgrade to the Regidrago deck. So Drago does gain 2 decent new dragons with Kyurem, and Haxorus with the new Night Wanderer set, and definitely those 2 cards look like they could be good within the deck for sure. Another build here with Kyurem, another build with the Haxorus and the Kyurem in the deck. So those 2 new dragons are looking pretty good. Next up, we have Gardevoir. Now, Gardevoir doesn't really gain too much with the new set, not going to lie. It might even get a little bit worse, honestly, if we do see these new dark archetypes with Okidogi EX get a little bit more popular. I'm not too sure Guardy is going to be in the greatest spot for Worlds, especially if Charizard is BJF. Honestly, Gardevoir seems like it might just get farmed by Charizard, especially now that they have the Dusclops in the deck, which can actually do some big damage to your Guardy stuff. So I'm a little scared of how Gardevoir is going to be looking in the Worlds format, just because of how good dark Pokemon are looking in the new format here. But yeah, we'll see how Gardevoir does. The main thing is, I guess, if you really wanted to, in your Guardy list, you can play the new Pheasantipity to let you draw some extra cards. So maybe that's what Gardevoir will play from the new set, is Pheasantipity. I don't know if it's really going to play any other new cards, because it just kind of stays the same. You have the Monkey Dory still, the Fluttermane, the Screamtail, Drifloon stuff. Like, everything about the deck still stays the same. You could just maybe play Pheasantipity in the deck. So I don't know if we're going to see any of these Guardy lists look too different than what we have right now. And I don't even know if you want to play the Pheasantipity, because you don't want to use a 2-prize liability. It's kind of like if you were to play a Luminion or Squawkabilly within the Guardy list, right? So, might not be too good. Yeah, Gardevoir might get a little bit weaker with the new set, not going to lie. But there's a lot of Guardy lists, or maybe Gardevoir is still good. I don't know. It's just kind of scary when you're playing against stuff like the Charizard and the Okidogi EX deck. All right, we got Raging Bolt EX here, which honestly, Raging Bolt doesn't really gain that many new cards outside of potentially Pheasantipity. So Raging Bolt having Pheasantipity isn't bad, because instead of playing a Mew EX, you can play Pheasantipity instead. So whenever something gets knocked out, you can use Pheasantipity to draw you 3 new cards, which could be really good. You know, you'll get Iono to 2 cards, they knock out your Raging Bolt, well, you can draw for turn and Pheasantipity. You basically get 4 new cards, and that will help you hopefully chain together some more attacks with your Raging Bolt. So, yeah, I think if Raging Bolt is going to gain any new cards from the new set, it's going to be the Pheasantipity. Now, we'll see if Raging Bolt continues to be good. Like I said, if Charizard is coming back to the format as BDIF status with all these new cards like Dusknoir and Dusclops, then I'm not too sure Raging Bolt is going to compete as well. Raging Bolt is a fast and strong deck, so maybe you just gotta hope you can overpower the Charizard deck, because I feel like if Charizard gets to set up a little bit, then Charizard just runs over Raging Bolt. But like I said, the Pheasantipity seems like it's going to be a great new addition to Raging Bolt. You can see 2 of the builds here already playing the Pheasantipity. This one is playing a Cornerstone Ogerpon. Now, you could play Cornerstone Ogerpon in the deck, I guess, to counter Charizard. Maybe that's going to have to be a staple within Raging Bolt. If Charizard is literally BDIF again, maybe the Cornerstone Ogerpon has to go back into the Raging Bolt deck to help counter the Charizard deck. So maybe that's just going to be another way to go about it. But yeah, Pheasantipity, like I said, might just be the only new card the deck does gain. Yeah, we got another Raging Bolt here playing Pheasantipity. Ooh, Raging Bolt with the new Blubbin Ursaluna could be kind of cute. I guess this is another decent addition to Raging Bolt. You can use Blubbin Ursaluna to put energy into play for free. So now you have 2 different ways to put energy in play, and you get an even stronger 1-prize attacker, which, you know, I say stronger because it's bulkier than Sandy Shocks. You put Bravery Charm on this thing, it's got 200 HP, which is quite thick for a 1-prize attacker. So maybe instead of the Sandy Shocks, you can play the Blubbin Ursaluna, which can also potentially get you 2 free extra energy in play. Could be good, who knows? Definitely not a bad idea. Another Raging Bolt here with the Pheasantipity. Yeah, a lot of Bolt list here. We got a couple more Bolts to look at. We'll see how far the Bolts go. Ooh, Bolt with Kyurem could be kind of cute. I mean, Lost Box is theoretically one of your harder matchups, so maybe you want to try to fix that by playing Kyurem if they don't bench Manaphy. Because if I'm playing against Raging Bolt, I'm usually not benching Manaphy. That's going to be the one big thing with Kyurem, is like, is Lost Box going to respect the Kyurem or not? Are they going to bench Manaphy? Because any deck could theoretically play it, but the logic is, will a deck actually play it? That's going to be a thing. All right, we got some new Dragapult lists to look at here. This build is playing the Pidgeot. Nothing new in this build, it looks like. No new supporters or items or anything. We got Lost Pult here. Lost Pult probably doesn't really gain anything either. This build of Lost Pult is actually playing the Monkey Dory, which is an interesting one of to play. But yeah, Dragapult Lost Box doesn't really gain too much either, to be honest with you. Kind of just, like I said, stays the same. Then we have Dragapult Charizard here, which, you know what, could be a decent archetype still in this new format. I mean, it's doing okay right now. Dragapult Charizard doesn't gain too much either, though. Like I said, this build doesn't really play too much. Not playing Pidgey on the deck, I guess, is very interesting. You could play Pheasantipity. I mean, if you're going to play Dragapult Charizard, maybe the Pheasantipity could be like a good one of in the deck. Who knows? Could be kind of cute for sure. An Arceus Dragapult deck. That's interesting, kind of going back to the old waves of how these Stage 2 EXs were originally being played was with Arceus. All right, yeah, we got this one I like. So yeah, Dragapult Charizard with a 1 of Pheasantipity, because it does give you that extra bit of support. Now, again, this build not playing the Bibarel or the Pidgey on the deck, so not having as much draw to work with, obviously, but still utilizing the power of the Pheasantipity, which I feel like Pheasantipity is going to be really good within the Dragapult and Charizard decks if you really wanted to play it, just because it does allow you to draw 3 cards. Like, if you can go Pheasantipity, draw 3 cards, and then just play Collapse Stadium and discard it, you get a lot of value out of what it's doing, which is nice. So, seems like the Pheasantipity is going to be good for these Stage 2 decks. Got another Lost Pult deck here, which also plays the new Pheasantipity, which honestly is kind of cute. Yeah, the Lost Pult with Pheasantipity could be good too. I mean, maybe Pheasantipity is good in Lost Box. Actually, I want to look at its attack again. I think its attack could actually be kind of decent within Lost Zone. Yeah, it does 100 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for 3 energy. I mean, that's not terrible. That could synergize nicely with Dragapult and Sableye under certain circumstances. So, could be an okay card to play within the Lost Zone Dragapult deck here. Another card that I think Lost Box actually does gain is the new Stretcher card I wanted to quickly mention. I'm not sure if we're going to see any Lost Box decks in this video today, but the new Night Stretcher could be good in the deck because it's just a great way to just retrieve a Cramorant or Sableye or whatever. So, actually could be a strong card to have within Lost Box. I know Super Rod is really good too. Sometimes when you play Super Rod and you put Pokemon back, you have to have like a Nest Ball or like an Artisan in play to like research them out, but when you do have the Night Stretcher card, it does make it pretty easy to get them back. So maybe there's something there. Who knows? Yeah, it could be kind of cool. All right, now we have Lost Box. Now, Lost Box definitely does feel like it might have a target on its back thanks to Kyurem coming out. So, really depending on how popular Kyurem is going to be, that's going to be dependent on how good Lost Box actually will be. Is because, hey, Kyurem counters Lost Box. It's a little scary. Lost Box does not appreciate Kyurem. But, you know what? Lost Box is still Lost Box at the end of the day. It's still a strong deck, still a lot of good attackers. We see a Sablezard deck here. And yeah, that's the thing. We see Manaphy. Honestly, Lost Box might have to start playing 1 to 2 Manaphys. Because if you have 2 Manaphy in play, even if the Kyurem plays Canceling Cologne, all of a sudden, well, they're not going to be able to knock out both Manaphy. So maybe there is potential for the double Manaphy in the deck. Honestly, that could have to be something to consider within Lost Box, which is kind of crazy to say. We do have another Lost Box deck here. More of the turbo build that we've been seeing with the hands and the Ursaluna and the Raikou. Lost Box doesn't really gain that many new cards, in all honesty, with the new set. Really, if anything, it theoretically just gets a new annoying attacker in that Kyurem. But this Lost Box build here does have the Ursaluna, Raikou stuff. Like, the package kind of stays the same, right? Your attackers probably stay the same, and all that stuff. Lost Box with Dusknoir is kind of cute. So maybe there's some potential with the Dusknoir engine. So it's not, well, I guess not even playing Dusknoir. It's just playing Dusclops. Now, you do give up prizes, but Dusclops does synergize really nicely with Sableye. I mean, that lets Sableye put like 17 damage on the board because you can Dusclops, put 5 damage on the board, and then you can Sableye the extra 12. That is kind of scary, actually. So that could be a decent little option for the Lost Box deck, is playing the Dusclops in the deck here. That's kind of cute, because it's just kind of using the one prizers with the Sableye and the Cram. Does have the Ursaluna. There's no hands or Raikou or anything, so that's an interesting concept, yeah. Dusclops and Lost Box could be cool. Like, the Dusknoir engine in general is looking really strong. There's a lot of different ways it's probably going to see play, and this is definitely an interesting concept for sure. There's definitely a lot of partners for Dusclops and Dusknoir outside of just, like, Charizard and stuff. Another Turbo Lost Box built here. Pretty normal stuff. Playing 2 Colognes. Now we can look at Lugia. Now, Lugia definitely looks like it could be decent in this new set, too. I feel like it's maybe less hostile for Lugia. And honestly, Lugia could even play something like the new Kyurem in the deck. We see this Lugia build still like kind of the normal build we've been seeing with the Cinccino, the Legacy Energy. Plays the Ogerpon and the hands in the deck, too. Another Lugia build here, playing the Cinccino and the Legacy Energy, Radiant Charizard. Like, I don't know, Lugia still kind of stays the same. Like, honestly, it doesn't really gain that many new cards from the new set. Like, nothing too stand out from the new set makes Lugia a little bit stronger. It's just still like Lugia at the end of the day, right? It's still just a very strong and aggressive deck. And like I said, maybe it can play Kyurem. That could be maybe the one new card Lugia can play. I guess if, like, Haxorus sees play in Drago, then maybe Lugia gets a bad matchup in Regidrago. But if you have Cinccino, it's not that bad, I feel like, still. You still out-trade the Drago deck anyways. Yeah, this Lugia build plays the new Pheasantipity. Yeah, that could be okay. Pheasantipity does have 3 colorless energy in its attack cost, so theoretically you could still load it up with Archeops to attack with the Pheasantipity if worst came to worst, I guess. So there's that, I guess. Yeah, no Lugia build here, playing Mew in the deck. Yeah, Lugia just kind of stays the same, I feel like, with the new set. Nothing too crazy makes the deck stronger or anything like that. Yeah, just kind of the same old stuff with these Lugia builds. All right, we can look at the Roaring Moon deck. So Dark types definitely do get a big upgrade with this new set, mainly because of obviously the new Janine card, and also just because there's more Dark Pokemon to play now. You got the trio, or the what are they called? I already forgot what they're called. The Loyal 3 or whatever they're called. Yeah, you got the Monkey Dory and stuff. The Okidogi, and Dark Pokemon definitely seem like they're going to get better. And one of the Dark Pokemon that, could see some play still is the Roaring Moon deck. Now, Turbo Roaring Moon's actually been doing okay in the online tournament scene and stuff like that. So definitely a lot of eyes are on the Turbo Moon deck at the moment in our current format. And you can see this build here kind of stays the same from what we've been seeing, playing the Water Energy, the Energy Switch, the Sada, Pokestop, Darkrai VSTAR, the double Roaring Moon split package, but does have Pheasantipity, which just is another nice new additional support Pokemon. Kind of like how Raging Bolt can play the new Pheasantipity EX, you can play it within Roaring Moon, because, same thing. You get Iono, you're trying to find Sadas and Dark Patches to power up your Roaring Moon, while now you have the Pheasantipity in the deck to help it even more, so you can keep on turboing through your deck. So, seems like it could be pretty decent, not gonna lie. The Pheasantipity definitely seems like a nice upgrade to the Roaring Moon deck. And like I said, it's a fast, powerful turbo deck that can abuse 2 different Dark Pokemon, so definitely seems good. And yeah, you can play the Radiant Greninja too, which honestly might be pretty good in the Turbo Moon deck, as having access to the Radiant Greninja as an attacking option. If you don't want to go all in on the Dark Energy and stuff. You can see a couple Moonless here. Like I said, it doesn't really gain any new cards apart from maybe, I don't think they're going to play Janine, because honestly, Sada is a better card to play in Roaring Moon anyways, because you're playing Ancient Pokemon. Janine is not as good in Roaring Moon. Sada's just probably better, but it is interesting actually to play the Janine. Maybe you can play Janine as like a 5th Sada, I guess, sort of. I don't know. Okay, we got this Roaring Moon here, playing the Perchon EX, which could be good in the deck. And yeah, I can see this build does play the Janine in the deck. Kind of more of like not an Ancient box deck, but plays a little bit more heavy on the Ancient cards. Plays 4 Sada and 4 copies of Explorer's Guidance. So this build of Roaring Moon here that won a gym battle is really trying to kind of capitalize more on the ancient stuff. But like I said, the Janine could be a good one-of to play in the Roaring Moon deck. And then you, of course, have still the Fezandipity. Honestly, you could still play, like, even Okidogi in the deck, or, honestly, well, to be honest, if you're playing the Perchani EX, maybe you can just play the Monkey Dory EX2 and then try to take advantage of Monkey Dory also. So maybe Monkey Dory EX and Perchon could be good within the Moon. I guess then at that point, you're just playing, like, a weird, like, toolbox of dark Pokemon, and maybe there's too much going on for that to work, but that could be interesting for sure. Yeah, another Turbo Moon playing Water Energy, the Sada, the Catcher. Yeah, Turbo Moon looks pretty good in the next set, not going to lie. I mean, it's not a bad deck right now, and could be good in the next set for sure. Maybe I can keep up with Charizard just because Frenzy Gouging can, like, knock them out. I guess, like, if you go Frenzy Gouging, though, they can, like, Dusclops you, which is kind of annoying. So maybe that isn't very good. Another deck here that gains new upgrades is actually United Wings, which is kind of funny. Now, United Wings does have to worry about the potential of how strong Dragapult might be, but they do gain one new card, and that is, of course, everyone's favorite new bird, the Dartrix. Not only is Dartrix a new United Wings card, so now all of a sudden your United Wings Pokemon are doing even more damage, but you get a grass attacker now, which is honestly really relevant because, hey, if all these new dark Pokemon are becoming good, like if Roaring Moon's seeing play, Monkey Dory EX is seeing play, if Charizard's potentially BDIF, then honestly, having a grass United Wings Pokemon generally might make United Wings a strong deck. Now, United Wings does have to worry about a few different things, and that's mainly just how popular Dragapult is. Like, if United Wings actually becomes like a top-tier deck in this new format, the deck does have to worry about, it does have to worry a lot about Dragapult EX. Dragapult EX will farm United Wings. And that's the only scary thing about playing United Wings is potential of Dragapult being a problem for the deck. But outside of that, United Wings definitely could be a pretty good deck in the new format because now you have more damage output with Dartrix and you have a grass attacker to work with. So, yeah, it seems good. Dark Pokemon are looking really good in this next set and this new format, and going into Worlds, United Wings actually could be legit. So I would be really happy to see a United Wings deck perform well at Worlds or something. And I guess Fezandipity X could be a nice upgrade. You have the Dartrix. I still, maybe if I was playing United Wings, I would still probably play a couple of Rowlets in the deck. Like, one Rowlet's okay, but I do think you're really missing out on using Dartrix to its full potential. I think Dartrix is honestly a good attacker that you could probably consider playing 2 to 3 Rowlet in your deck. Because, like, yeah, I think it is like, that good of an attacker within the deck for sure. One thing to note, too, when United Wings can play Carmine, that could be a cool new supporter for the deck. Just more discard synergy for the deck could be good. Obviously, you're trying to put United Wings in the discard. Fezandipity seems like it's a nice upgrade to the deck, too. It's kind of like how Mad Party used to play. I think Mad Party back in the day used to play the Oricorio GX, which same thing as like Fezandipity. So it's cool synergy there between the Oricorio and the Fezandipity, kind of with this new modern version of like Mad Party or whatever. So yeah, I'm really excited to play United Wings. Definitely an archetype I'm keeping on my radar for sure. We got Chien-Pao. Chien-Pao might not gain too many new cards from the new set either. And honestly, you know, Kingdra could kind of rival it as another good Baxcalibur deck. Who knows? But Chien-Pao is still just very strong. You know, Chien-Pao does have a good Charizard matchup. That might still stay the same in the new format. We'll have to see. Though I guess Dusknoir could be a problem. They could, like, Dusknoir, knock out Bibarel, and then Iono countercatcher kill your other Bibarel and, like, put you to, like, no Bibarel in play, and then your draw is completely shut off. That's how Charizard maybe could make these comebacks happen against the Chien-Pao deck. But Chien-Pao, you know, could play the Fezandipity. You can see this build of Chien-Pao here does play a 1 of Fezandipity. That doesn't seem like a terrible card to play, but it makes it harder to do one-price board states. Both Chien-Paos are playing Fezandipity. This is interesting. I'm not too sure if the card is actually good in Chien-Pao, but all 3 of these builds of Chien-Pao are playing the new Fezandipity, which, I mean, there you go. If you want to look at some Chien-Pao, there you go. Fezandipity could be a nice upgrade of the deck. Lost Tina. So Lost Tina seems like it could be okay. I don't know how good its Charizard matchup is going to be with the new Dusknoir Dusclops engine maybe being a problem for it. And if Charizard is playing Unfair Stamp, that's another big issue for Tina, is Unfair Stamp kind of is a problem for it. But yeah, Lost Tina still just is a strong archetype regardless. We'll see if it gains any new cards here. I don't really know if it does, to be honest with you. I don't know if Tina really gains any new cards from the new set. Maybe you could play Fezandipity EX in the deck to help your deck a little bit more consistent. Maybe that's what Lost Tina is going to play, is a 1 of Fezandipity, but yeah, outside of that, we don't really see any new additions to the Tina deck from the new set. Just stays kind of the same as just a strong attacking deck that maybe can beat Charizard if they're not playing Unfair Stamp. Ancient Box. Ancient Box doesn't gain anything. I don't think there's any new... Actually, there are a couple new Ancient cards from the new set. This our Ancient Box deck doesn't play it, though. Let's see. Ancient Box? No, this build also doesn't play it. Because there is a new Ancient card coming out in the new set here. We got the new Slitherwing, which is an ancient Pokemon, and it does have a really good way to deal with Iron Hands, which sometimes can be a low-key problem for Ancient Box. Iron Hands is one of the issues the deck can face, especially the Walking Wake builds that we're seeing now. Has the attack Iron Smasher, that if your opponent has any future Pokemon in play, you get to do 240 damage to an Iron Hands, or 280 to an Iron Hands, actually, sorry, which is really good. So I'm surprised to see the Ancient Box not playing the new Slitherwing. I definitely think that the Slitherwing is just kind of a no-brainer, right, to play in the deck. Like, Slitherwing with Miraidon seems good. See, in this Ancient Box build, playing Pertani X, I guess the ability to, like, switch out your stuff is really good, but you are playing a 2-prize liability, which I'm not a big fan of an Ancient Box. This Ancient Box build plays a new Brew Bonnet. Yeah, I'm surprised to see no Slitherwing. That definitely feels like it could be a good one of an Ancient Box. And then we got Dialga VSTAR list here. I don't know if Dialga really gets any better. Dialga build's playing Radiant Steelix. That's kind of funny. Pheasantipity maybe could be good in Dialga. I'm not too sure. Yeah, Dialga, I don't know how many new cards it really gains. Greninja EX. Greninja is definitely a card that could be potentially good at some point in the future. We just haven't been able to see it yet. But this Greninja build is playing the Dusknoir engine. So Dusknoir seems like it could be good within the Greninja deck. You can abuse Dusknoir and Barrage. So there is some synergy there with Dusknoir and Greninja for sure. So I'm interested in that. This build of Greninja is playing the Boomerang energy too, which is kind of cool. Yeah, Greninja could be cute. We'll see. I'm not sure how good Greninja actually is with Dusknoir, but you know what? I want Greninja EX to be a good deck. It's just always been like sitting there. It's like, yeah, the deck could be good. Just hasn't been able to quite get there. Arc Armor Rouge. I don't know. Arc Armor Rouge seems like it could be like okay, I guess. Doesn't gain too many new cards. I'm not even sure. I guess, actually, what fire Pokemon would the deck even gain? Nothing really, yeah. I don't know. Is Arc Armor Rouge good? Maybe. We got a Gouging Fire Turbo deck. Kind of like how Roaring Moon plays. Like, the addition of the new Pheasantipity is like a nice upgrade to the Gouging Fire Turbo deck, because now you have that extra bit of draw when you get knocked out. You can kind of keep chaining attacks a little bit easier with the Pheasantipity. So I like the idea of Pheasantipity within Turbo Gouging Fire. So another, like, fast Turbo Basic EX Beat Stick deck. Pheasantipity could upgrade quite a bit. Then finally, the last deck to look at here is a Great Tusk Mill deck. Doesn't look like it gains that many new cards in the new set. Just kind of just stays the same. But you know what? Maybe could gain a good matchup like Charizard. Maybe could be a good matchup for Great Tusk Mill. Who knows? But there you go. Those are all the decks here. Now, again, this was just like, it looks like one day of gym battles from Japan. But, you know, if we were to look at every single day, this video would be like 4 hours long. But I just wanted to make it as updated as possible. And yeah, some big things. You know, the new set does give us some decent new Dark EX Pokemon. We are seeing some changes to some archetypes, like Charizard, for example, might actually be the BDIF now, thanks to the new Dusknoir. The new Dusknoir definitely seems like it's just insane within Charizard. And the new Dusknoir could see playing other decks. We saw it try to be utilized in Greninja. Maybe Dragapult, Dusknoir could be a thing. There is some synergy there with Dusclops and Dragapult, obviously. So Dragapult definitely could get upgraded with Dusclops too. But yeah, the whole Dusclops Dusknoir engine seems like it's going to make Charizard even stronger. And Charizard could be BDIF. Who knows? Maybe it's going to push Guardian out of the format. Stuff like Regidrago gaining the new Kyurem and Haxorus is kind of sick. Maybe Gardevoir gets pushed out of the format from BDIF status. Pheasantipity upgrades a lot of the big turbo decks, like Raging Bull, like Roaring Moon, like Gouging Fire. So definitely some cool upgrades with Shrouded Fable. And we're definitely going to look at more deck lists from Japan very soon here on the channel in preparation for Worlds. So definitely stay tuned for that. There will be more deck lists we're going to look at eventually. I wanted to do a video, though, now to look at what was seen playing Japan, because there definitely were some interesting stuff to look at. And hope you all enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think of the Night Wander impact within Japan in the comments below. I'm interested to hear your opinion on all that. Thanks for watching. I'll leave a link to Pokebook down in the description below if you want to look at any of these decks yourself. Maybe you want to build them to test for Worlds if you're going to Worlds. But let me know what you think of them down below, and I'll catch you on another video here on the second channel. Make sure to subscribe down below. We're on the road to 15K subs, and I'll see you on another video. Bye-bye.